This is 7 News, the voice of the Central West.
Tonight, calls for improved pedestrian crossing safety after a child is hit by a car.
Water buybacks a hot topic for farmers along the Macquarie River.
I'm Daniel Gibson. Later on this news hour, the RBA boss blames everyday Aussies for repeated rate hikes. And the hostage swap put off for days until Hamas signs off on the ceasefire.
7 News begins now.
Good evening. There are calls tonight for more improvements to a notorious stretch of road outside a local school.
An 8-year-old boy remains in hospital after being hit by a car at a pedestrian crossing during school pickup.
School pickup back to normal today, but parents are increasingly concerned about this spot.
Oh, it's definitely a problem. I've nearly been hit with her at least 6 times since she started school, and she's only in year 1.
This was the scene yesterday, an 8-year-old struck by a car just metres from the Bletchington Public School in Orange. The boy was treated by paramedics on the road before being taken to Westmead Children's Hospital.
People just don't really care about the crossing guards, about even taking care. It's pretty disgusting, to be honest.
This intersection of Anston Street and Matthews Avenue underwent safety improvements 2 years ago. Now there are questions whether the improvements have worked. 7 News spoke with people at the intersection who expressed concern over the amount of speeding and near misses they see there.
It makes me feel very sad that there are drivers out there that are not adhering to the actual speed limit, and we're hearing that the speeding is occurring.
A 26-year-old woman was driving the car that struck the boy. A roadside breath test returned a negative result. Police say they're reviewing dashcam footage to determine the exact circumstances of the crash before action, if any, is taken. Charlotte Wallen, 7 News.
An additional charge has been laid against a man accused of killing Wellington's Paul Jakes. In 2021, Mr Jakes was shot in the leg at a Gisborne Street home and died a short time after he arrived at hospital. 2 men have been charged over his death. In addition to murder, Titan Gilks has today been charged with possessing an unauthorised firearm. Both alleged offenders are in custody and are yet to enter a plea.
A renewed push is underway tonight to reinstate around 38,000 megalitres of water, which some farmers say has been overdrawn from the Macquarie River. The water was sent to South Australia as part of an environmental flow inside the Murray-Darling Basin plan, but that plan is now before the Senate.
The Macquarie River at Warren, full to the brim. That was in December 2021. The water filling the Macquarie marshes, eventually spilling into the Murray-Darling system. Fast forward almost 2 years, river levels upstream at Dubbo are considerably lower, surrounding areas on the edge of drought. But the water debate hasn't stopped running. An update to the Murray-Darling Basin Plan could see the return of water buybacks, years on after they first impacted local communities.
The Macquarie's been over-recovered now since pre-2010. The amount is about 38 gigalitres.
That's more than 15,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools overdrawn from the Macquarie River, sent to South Australia for environmental flows.
It's a significant loss to our valley. The over-recovery should never have happened, and that water should be reinstated back onto the balance of irrigators.
We're talking about $240 million worth of investment that's been lost year on year out of the Macquarie since 2010. That's how many thousands of jobs, it's how many millions, hundreds of millions of dollars of production.
While there was some compensation from the last buybacks,
but there were a number identified that did receive pretty significant compensation, and unfortunately Narromine wasn't amongst them. I think we received $325,000, which goes absolutely nowhere in terms of the job losses that we incurred at the time.
However, to have water returned to the system it was removed from, farmers say has become an uphill battle.
Under the current plan, the government now on a dime has changed their view and have said, OK, well, we just want to keep that. It won't have any great environmental benefit towards any water going to South Australia.
Hamish Southwell, 7 News.
Orange Council will begin working with airlines to establish new routes in and out of our city. The decision to redirect staff resources has been made by councillors. It comes after multiple letters of support were received for a service between Orange and Newcastle, including from businesses, the university and Cadia Mine. Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane are the current destinations on offer.
How good would it be if you could fly to Newcastle and Canberra? So, and then the reverse of that is tourists coming to our centre, more tourists coming to Orange, and yeah, I think it's a positive thing.
Council will now begin providing information to potential airlines.
A group of Oberon residents are ramping up their fight to stop wind turbines rising into our sky. It comes after the federal government revealed new plans to keep Australia powered when we stop using coal and gas.
Filling a room and voicing their objections, Oberon is under a towering concern.
It's one of the last authentic regional townships on the doorstep of Sydney, and to carpet bomb it with hundreds of wind towers just doesn't make sense.
There are two developments currently on the horizon. 47 turbines have been proposed on the Paling Yard site, 60 kilometres south of Oberon. Forestry Corporation is also considering diversifying their business. And while the show of opposition is strong, it's not universal.
They help. They're good. They're not an eyesore. They're quite pretty when you see them on a hill.
That doesn't worry me. They wouldn't put them if they didn't need them.
The federal government has been warned coal-fired power is shutting down quicker than it's being replaced. It's why they will now dramatically expand financial support for green energy worth billions of dollars.
We'll see our transition become more reliable. It'll see us getting the investment, the job-creating investment, on time.
The government has set a target to raise renewables to 82% of the energy mix by 2030, but the move has been labelled a reckless race by the Nationals.
He realises he can't get there, so he's going to put a 60-pound gorilla into the marketplace, drive up the cost of renewable projects. These renewable companies are going to rub their hands together.
That our energy transition will be on track after 10 years of denial, 10 years of delay.
Project approvals are also set to be sped up at a federal and state level.
Is this just another tactic to steamroll communities like ours?
The Paling Yards wind farm is currently being considered by the state's planning department, while Forestry Corporation investigates their options.
We're not against renewable energy. We just want governments to take a more considered approach to the location of infrastructure.
Ruben Spargo, 7 News.
The National Party has promised to improve our link to and from Sydney if re-elected. To do that, they will restore federal funding for the Greater Western Highway upgrade. It comes after the Labor government pulled $2 billion in funding, which was committed to widen stretches of the road between Katoomba and Lithgow. Nationals leader David Littleproud says the upgrade is critical for our region and the nation.
What's being produced here needs to get to those ports quickly, but it also needs to get around the country quickly, and that drives down cost of living. This is where you have to have your priorities right on spending Australian taxpayers' money.
Mr Littleproud did, however, stop short of promising any money for a proposed tunnel under the Blue Mountains.
Thousands of extra TAFE places will soon be up for grabs, and it's all fee-free. It's hoped the no-cost tertiary courses will help fill critical skill shortages in healthcare, hospitality and construction.
If you're a New South Wales resident wanting to train, retrain or upskill, your time is now.
This is absolutely critical. What it means is it provides access for our learners without having those financial barriers.
The Albanese and Minns governments have announced an additional 147,400 tuition-free study opportunities at TAFE for the next 3 years, made possible with $130 million of Commonwealth government funding.
Focusing in on the key priorities for our state, it's enabling our learners to gain new skills that are critical for the workforce now and into the future.
It builds on the success of fee-free TAFE this year. As of June 30th, the freebies attracted record enrolments across New South Wales. There were more than 20,700 enrolments in the care sector alone, and Ms Rowe is one of them.
I have been loving it. It is a complete 360 from what I've done previously. I cannot rate my teachers enough.
The 34-year-old began a Certificate 3 in Individual Support in Ageing in August. Currently, she is on maternity leave from an admin role with 10-month-old twins, a toddler and dedication to her studies.
When it comes to education and empowering people to pursue careers, waiving that fee is the biggest step up they can get.
Students are limited to enrolling in one fee-free course per semester. These include opportunities in healthcare, hospitality and construction industries.
Enrol now, don't wait. You will not regret it, not for a single moment.
Rochelle Punikovic, 7 News.
A woman in her 50s has cheated death after being struck by lightning in Orange during yesterday's wild wet weather. Emergency crews were called out to Pinnacle Road near Mount Canobolas, responding to reports of a lightning strike victim. When they arrived, paramedics treated the woman for burns. She was then driven to hospital and is now recovering from the freak accident. Now, staying on all things weather, Kirsty Fitzpatrick joins us now with a look at today's weather. And Kirsty, we have seen, as we just heard, storms around and plenty of rain too.
That's right, Maddie. Nick, some wild weather continuing. Good evening, everyone. Muggy today. Our humidity level sitting around 70 to 80% for most of the day across the tablelands, thanks to that moisture in the atmosphere and, of course, our warmer overnight and maximum temperatures. It remained mostly cloudy with areas of storms and rainfall triggering a severe storm warning today. Overnight, Canamble saw around 17 millimetres of rain, while we also saw storms in Nyngan dropping off 12 millimetres. That wet weather started to move into the tablelands around the early afternoon, with east-northeasterly winds gusting up to 50 kilometres an hour in the west around Dubbo. Our temperatures today just sitting around the low 20s, more than 5 degrees cooler than yesterday. Cloud cover in the morning too and moving through this afternoon, but despite that, our UV rating remained at an extreme level. There is the chance of late storms tonight, which could become severe in the northwest. That's ahead of periods of moderate to heavy rain tomorrow. I'll have Friday's forecast up shortly.
Thanks, Kirsty. We'll get more weather soon.
Still to come in 7 News, 16 days of activism to shine a spotlight on domestic violence.
And Dubbo leading the way in textile recycling as one of only 2 councils taking part in a trial.
And a little later on this news hour, inflation now homegrown. Why the RBA boss says a haircut and a trip to the dentist is to blame. Delays for the exchange of Palestinian prisoners and Israeli hostages. And 2 people killed in an explosion after a car loses control at the US-Canada border.
Welcome back. Orange is about to kickstart 16 days of activism against gender-based violence in the hope of raising awareness as the town's police force responds to a 7.8 incidents per 1,000 residents each year.
It is getting worse. It is getting worse. So that is not something that we should tolerate, and we've got to take a front foot on that as civil leaders in our community, especially as councillors.
The initiative will include a calendar of events to get involved in across the region, including in Orange, Bathurst and Mudgee. And there'll be a performance of the Nutbush as well that you can get involved in, honouring domestic violence victims and survivors. The 16 days of celebration, the 16 days starts this Saturday on the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women.
An aged care worker is striding it out through the month of November for stroke awareness. The campaign Stride for Stroke encourages Aussies to be active, with reports that up to 80% of strokes are preventable.
Striding for a good cause.
We love all our residents so much, so I just wanted to try and give something back.
Natalie Payne is stepping up and striding out, raising funds and awareness for the Stroke Foundation, a cause close to her heart.
Stroke affects so many of my residents, whether it be friends and family or them themselves. It can take people so quickly.
If I were 40 years younger, I'd be doing it myself. It's just wonderful that she's using the joy of the people that she's known who have tried so hard with their stroke.
Great-grandmother Rowena Gins is a stroke survivor herself, but also lost her husband Bill to the condition 12 months ago.
And his stroke was just like that. And it isn't until you can't do something that you suddenly realise, goodness me, this makes an enormous difference.
The message behind the Stride for Stroke campaign is all too important, not only for residents at the facility, but also for the wider community.
It can be older people, but it can take young people so much as well.
Raising the awareness to recognise the signs and symptoms, Ms Gins says, can be life-saving.
And do what you can while you can. And I think that's the important thing. Able to bring joy to others too, and that's really the object of living.
You can visit the Stroke Foundation website to donate. Claire Sienta, 7 News.
Dubbo Regional Council has become the second council in the country to offer a textile recycling service in partnership with DLG Australia. The trial was launched this month to address landfill issues for products which are unable to be donated to charities. Of concern are textile items containing polyester which have a decomposition process which takes over 200 years. Now residents can drop for free damaged clothing items, footwear, bags and blankets to the Wailandra Waste and Recycling Centre.
This new process will see diversion of textiles away from landfill and into a recycling stream so it can become part of the circular economy.
The council says the items will be reprocessed and transformed into useful products.
Up next in 7 News, Mount Panorama gearing up to host its last major motorsport event for the year.
And taking home a unique trophy delivers the ultimate challenge for a group of Frisbee enthusiasts.
Welcome back. The Sheep Stations Trophy is the Central West's ultimate Frisbee challenge with teams from Orange, Dubbo and the Blue Mountains all competing.
Playing for one of the most coveted trophies in all of sports, the Sheep Stations Cup. The Orange Snowflakes hosting the Dubbo Meerkats and the Blue Mountains for a day of friendly competition.
Frisbee is a combination of the agility and running of AFL, the precision of netball, and then some of that real high quality, fast-paced running of touch football.
The goal is to work the disc down the field and scoring by catching the disc in the end zone. Teamwork and communication are key.
Dubbo Club's about 100 strong and we're always looking for other regional clubs to play. Orange has been on the up and up the last few years. It's great to see other regional clubs coming into their own.
Ultimate Frisbee is a unique sport. The game doesn't have a referee and is adjudicated by the players. It keeps the game moving and makes for a great community. That's why the sport and the Sheep Stations Cup is constantly growing.
Play a bit of Frisbee and learn some new skills along the way. And it's a really fun atmosphere. It's pretty casual, it's not intense, so, it's a great family day as well.
The culture around Frisbee is really that whether you've been playing for years or it's your first time, you can really have a lot of fun, get involved, which I think is such an incredible thing about the sport.
Mac Reith-Snare, 7 News.
Wet conditions didn't stop the action in last night's Bathurst harness race meeting. And it was race 6 that had punters on the edge of their seats. Favourite Flying Colours led from the start, but Rockview was always close behind. Sargent threatened as they moved into the final turn of the Reliance Bank pace, but Rockview found inside running as they straightened on the wet track and powered home.
Inside, it's Flying Colours, 100 metres left to go. Rockview starting to wear it down. Rockview and Flying Colours, Rockview.
With Jason Hewitt in the gig, the 2-year-old claimed a half-neck win over Flying Colours, the victory handing trainer Peter Trevor Jones just over $5,000. Mount Panorama has roared to life today for the final time this year. Challenge Bathurst is set to draw the curtains on a huge year for the racetrack.
An event where everyday rev heads get their chance at conquering Mount Panorama. Challenge Bathurst makes dreams come true for motorsport fans, giving them time behind the wheel on one of the world's most iconic tracks.
It's about being with your mates, having fun, going to the pub after, and but when the flag drops, the red mist descends, and to be honest, I'm here to win.
1,100 drivers will hit the track over the 8-day event, from the Super Sprint to this weekend's regularity trial.
There's no racing per se. We've got very competitive races here with high-end cars who are practicing for events like the 12-hour, the 6-hour, and some of the best drivers in Australia, but they're here to practice.
Cars hitting the track range from humble Toyotas to some of the most exotic pieces of machinery in the country.
There's a bit of history in pit lane this week. A fully restored Porsche 997 Cup S is here, one that raced in the Bathurst 12-hour 15 years ago. It's back for another crack at Mount Panorama.
You don't have to be behind the wheel to have a great time at Challenge Bathurst. The event also offers the fast track experience, where punters can be driven around the track in old V8 supercars by guys like John Bow.
This is the Mecca. This is Bathurst. This is what we grew up as kids doing, watching, and now we're here. Something to tell the grandkids about.
The regularity trial starts on Saturday, which is free to the public. Mac Reith-Snare, 7 News.
Up next in 7 News, Kirsty's back and she's got your all-important local weather forecast. That's next.
Welcome back, everyone. Humidity has increased across New South Wales thanks to a high-pressure system directing warm, moisture-laden air into the state. Meanwhile, a trough is generating widespread showers and isolated thunderstorms. This pattern will continue through to the end of the week and into the weekend. Now, fairly decent rainfall totals could fall for many, but localised areas could see more than 100 millimetres of rain. That amount could also increase the risk of flash flooding. Across the Central West, we could see between 60 and 100 millimetres over the coming 8 days. Tonight, though, heavy rain, damaging winds and hailstones do remain a risk for northern parts of the slopes and plains, including Coonamble and stretching towards Walgett. A severe storm warning has been in place for much of today. Well, it is Friday tomorrow. We're expecting some slightly cooler temperatures as we wrap up our working week under mostly cloudy skies, and it will become unsettled during the day as well. Up to 25 millimetres of rain is possible, but of course there is that risk of heavier falls embedded within thunderstorms. Windy weather too as Forbes reaches 24 degrees. Moderate to heavy rainfall falling through Saturday too, as little as 2 millimetres but as much as 15 millimetres under grey skies. Warming up in the west though, Cobar returning to the 30s, while across the central tablelands we are expecting temperatures in at the low 20s. And we'll see those similar conditions through into Sunday, the high 20s and low 30s once again in the west, with quite a high chance of showers and thunderstorms, up to 15 millimetres for some of us. Areas of blue sky here and there, very scattered, but it will be accompanied by some strong, cool winds shifting southwesterly, those winds up to 30 kilometres an hour. Bathurst a top of 26, 27 in Cowra and 26 degrees in Mudgee. If we take a look now to the 7-day outlook, we can see some showers increasing once again into early next week, remaining relatively consistent in the east as well, and our temperatures sitting around the low 20s for Orange. Tomorrow, some heavy rainfall possibly on the way, likely to increase from about the mid-morning.
A wet weekend on the way.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Kirsty.
And that's your local news for tonight. Thanks for watching. You can catch up at our website or, of course, 7plus.
Right now, Dan's got your national news. Enjoy your night. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock.